Hello friends, I hope that you're well and that you are keeping safe in these times that we're in right now. So a couple of weeks ago I posted a video where we spoke about Boaz. This time this video entitled Shooting Your Shot is about Ruth. Ruth shot her shot. Ruth proposed to Boaz. And so in this video we're going to outline the things that aligned for Ruth to be able to propose. And then, since the title of the video is Shooting Your Shot, the guest who is on this video with myself and I had a 1v1 game. So we are cognizant of the fact that the NBA is no longer being played, so we decided to create our own little NBA. So please watch the YouTube video up till the end so that you can see who won. Cheers. God bless. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the Drunken Pastor, Taruchi Dagwa. You can follow me on my Instagram and Twitter on the Drunken Pastor. And we've got a very special guest here today who is...
My name is Nyasha Munashe. You can follow me at Nyasha Munashe on Instagram.
Alright. So a couple of weeks ago, I released a video where we're talking about Boaz in the area of romantic relationships and what a man ought to do to treat the woman. Now, we then decided, okay, maybe it's not enough because Ruth herself was a woman of noble character. So what can women do? What did Ruth do that can be synonymous with what women can do right now? So it is quite interesting what we then discovered about Ruth. So what did you find out first, especially about shooting your shot?
The first thing that was really interesting to note is that Ruth actually shot her shot towards Boaz. She was the one who actually proposed to Boaz himself, and she had a lot of evidence regarding his character.
Yeah.
And what I found really interesting was a lot of the other characteristics that Ruth had, like for example loyalty, and the fact that she wasn't afraid to work hard and actually get things done for herself. And in turn, Boaz saw her character beyond like her physical appearance, and he saw her character first, and that's what made him consider her to be a noble woman, because he looked past the physical and saw the actual character of the person.
Yeah. And also the other thing is you usually have instances where women are frustrated, where they have to wait for men to come for them. But Ruth was a bit clever in that she decided to shoot her own shot. And sometimes as women, there's this whole thing right now in a generation of shooting your own shot. So how do you shoot your shot as a woman? So you see, in basketball, we've got 3 types of shots that give 3 different types of points. So the first one is what? The free throw?
Yeah.
Then the second one is the
mid-range shot.
Mid-range, which is two points. And the last one is the 3-point shot. So sometimes women say, how do I shoot my shot? If we classify it from the first point, which is a free throw, which gets you 1 point, and then a mid-range shot, which gets you 2, and a 3-point shot, which gets you 3. The easiest way to shoot your shot sometimes is to go with the free throw. This one has got less contestation with it. So sometimes women, okay, let me ask you this question. Let's just say you were in a room or you walked in and you saw 2 women who you wanted to approach, and one is smiling and the other looks like she's just so angry. Who are you bound to go and talk to?
I'm obviously going to go to the one that's smiling.
Yeah. So sometimes it's important to just loosen up your faces. Don't look angry all the time, because sometimes that really does deter some brothers, especially if they're shy. That's the base level, one point. It doesn't really guarantee that you will get the guy to come, but it could help. The second one being the mid-range, which is the layup. Sometimes it's just important, if you have enough confidence and you want to go for the brother, go to him and introduce yourself and say hello. From that time on, he is then almost obligated to continue the conversation. I'm not saying that all brothers will actually continue the conversation, but we are hoping that in this case you shoot your shot and you wait and see what happens. The thing about shooting a shot in basketball is it's a risky exercise. So some shots go in, some of them don't. And then the 3-point shot, could you please tell us a bit about the 3-point shot?
So the 3-point shot is obviously a high risk, high reward type of thing. And what I found interesting, like within the context of basketball and relationships, in basketball, we're always taught to start from the inside out. So we take the free throws first, then we move to the mid-range, and then once we're confident, that's when we go into the 3-point shot. Yeah. So the 3-point shot in the context of relationships is what I would say when you're actively trying to pursue like something that's more than friendship, like you're displaying real interest in this person. So obviously if you want to get good at the 3-point shot, you have to master the shots before that. So it's the little things like smiling and saying hi, hello, just trying to be in contact with this person, trying to get to know them a bit more. Then we progress onto the 3-point shot, which is once you're actually showing interest in having a possible relationship, dating, or taking the next step towards marriage, whichever way it may be.
We can actually then say that Ruth took a 3-point shot, because Ruth, if you go into Ruth chapter 3, she actually proposed to Boaz. In my opinion, though, I don't think that women ought to propose to men. If we take it into context, the marriage of Ruth was more of a kinsman redeemer type of situation, which we're going to explain later. The reason why I say that I don't think women should be proposing to men is that if we look at the Word of God does say that husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. If we look at what Christ did, Christ always took the initiative. He loved the church before the church had the chance to reject him or to love him. So I think the initiative always has to be with the man. So the woman can shoot her shot, but at the end of the day, where there's proposing, I personally believe that men should be the ones who propose. If you as a woman decide to propose, whether it's marriage or it's a relationship, there are a lot of things that need to be aligned before you do that. As you rightly said, you need to make sure that you've got the situation is conducive, and that's what Ruth did. So we're going to go through these points that made Ruth's situation conducive for her to take that 3-point shot. The second thing that we see about Ruth in terms of creating the conducive environment was that in Ruth chapter 2 verse 1 to 2, Ruth goes to the field where Boaz was going to be found. So it's important as a woman, even if you're single right now and you have a list of what or characteristics that you want your man to have, you need to go to the place where you can get that type of man. Can I please? Okay. So this is Nyasha's phone. Huh? This is an iPhone, right? So if I wanted to get an iPhone, I'm probably going to go to the Apple store, right? But what I find, what many ladies do is they want the characteristics of an iPhone. They want the iOS software, but they go to a Samsung store. They go to a place where they can't get it. And then once they get the Samsung phone, they now want to remove the Android software and to almost fit in the iOS software. And that's not going to work, because the characteristics that you're looking for in a man are going to be found in a certain type of place. So you need to be at a certain type of place to find that certain type of man.
That's very true. And I think another thing, when we're talking about characteristics, I think we have to look at the characteristics that Ruth herself had. So what we notice is that obviously Naomi was like a mother figure in literal terms, but Naomi wasn't even her maternal mother. That was her mother-in-law. Yeah. And if you look at the actual passages, the loyalty that Ruth exhibited after she lost her husband and Naomi lost her sons was incredible, because there's a verse that says, wherever you go, I will go. Where you die, I will die. Where you're buried, I'll be buried, and your God will be my God. So Ruth already displayed that she had that characteristic of loyalty long before she even met Boaz. So that's obviously something that would filter into that relationship. So that already formed a basis for the whole relationship.
So the third point here is don't worry, that wasn't corona.
People and encourage the elbow greeting rather, which is this.
Other side, one side. Engithing phetha amathenda on side. When usheshe wajaha off side. Emabhena outside. Siphakathi in.
Third point here is, as a woman, you need to be surrounded by wise counsel of other women, not necessarily of other men. If you read the book of Ruth, you realize that Naomi was able to see certain things that Ruth couldn't see. So you find that in the book of Ruth, Naomi says she has been told by Ruth how Boaz has been handling her, what Boaz has been saying to her. And Naomi then sees and says, look, I think you need to go and do 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look at the proposal in itself, it was constructed by Naomi. So Ruth had a female presence, a female voice that was able to advise her. And even when we go to the book of Titus 2 verse 3, it says that, likewise, teach all the women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to too much wine, but to teach what is good. They can urge the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled and pure, to be busy and to be kind. So it's very important as a woman to surround yourself with people who are able, with other women who are able to build you. There are times when I speak to some ladies and they say, no, I can't make friends with other women because women are vindictive. So you find that they just have male friends. My question is, just one woman? You can't find just one woman? just one woman who you could be friends with. Because sometimes you may think women are vindictive, but maybe the problem may actually exist with you as an individual. It's important for you to have female counsel. If I had a wife or if I had a girlfriend, if I needed help, I'm probably going to go and come and speak to my brother Munashe before I go and speak to another woman, because that just compromises the situation. So yeah, Nyasha, what do you think about that?
I think it's really true, and I think it goes like likewise. So for example, if I have an issue regarding a female, I'm probably going to talk to Tyree, because Tyree, I would say he's a lot wiser, like in terms of the word and whatnot. So I would probably go to someone who I can relate with, because I can't go to a female for certain problems, but there's certain things that only someone who you can truly identify with, there's like a certain comfort that you get, and they can always lead you down the right path. So if I have a problem in a relationship, for example, I think the best place to go would be someone of wise counsel and someone who you really identify with. And that's why I think it doesn't even just apply to women. Like, you always just need people to support you and uplift you and actually give you wise counsel when you need it, because as it says in the Word of God, bad company corrupts good morals, and I feel as if in the same way, good company will rub off on you as well. So good company will create good morals within you.
Just to give an example here, sometimes you have this issue where a lady is cheated on by the man she's dating. She goes and she tells her friends, and her friends say, don't worry, that's what all men do. The problem with that type of statement is it tells that lady who has been cheated on that it's okay, and that does not add to her self-worth. So the people who are influencing you will determine whether or not you are able to get out of certain toxic relationships. Sometimes you can't get off a toxic relationship because you don't have the wise counsel around you. You don't have people who tell you this is not how you ought to be treated. This is not how you were created to be by God. You ought to surround yourself with people who always see your value and will remind you of it even when you can't see it yourself.
So did you know that Ruth was actually rejected at first?
She was rejected?
Yeah, like for real. So there was a man, he wasn't even named in the Bible, right? Which is funny enough, who rejected Ruth. He had the opportunity to marry her, but then he rejected her. And then that's how she eventually got to marry Boaz, because there's a thing called the kinsman redeemer, and I think Terry can explain that a little bit for you.
So in the olden days, they had a concept called the kinsman redeemer. So let's just say Nyasha and I were blood brothers, and I was married to a wife. Let's just say that I passed on, and my wife and I did not have a child. What would happen for the inheritance or for my legacy to move on? My wife, let's say her name is, what can my wife's name be?
Let's use Ruth.
Let's use Ruth. Let's say my wife's name was Ruth. Ruth would be redeemed by him. He would come and he would marry Ruth and have a child with Ruth, so that child is able to take over the inheritance that I would have left behind, so that the family name continues. So that's what a kinsman redeemer was. So you then find that in the Word of God, how Ruth was rejected was there was a kinsman redeemer who was closer in line than Boaz was. So for example, Nyasha will be my blood brother. Then we have got X, a guy called X, who he's my cousin. So Nyasha has first preference to marry my wife before X has the chance to marry my wife. So X in this case would have been Boaz, because Boaz was not the direct person who was meant to marry Ruth. So that's how the kinsman redeemer issue worked. So giving away the shoe was a symbolic significance to show that they had agreed. So in this case, he would be Boaz, and I was the kinsman redeemer who rejected Ruth. So I had to give him my shoe. This is a really nice shoe.
Kid game crazy.
Yeah. And once he has the shoe, it was a symbolic thing to say that he's now the one who is in charge. So as he rightly said, the whole issue about rejection leading to elevation is that sometimes women are rejected in society for so many different reasons. Maybe people say you are not as beautiful. Maybe people say you're not this, you're not that, you're not that. But sometimes rejection is God's way of redirecting you to something better. As Nyasha rightly said, we don't hear about this other guy. We don't even know what his name is. Maybe it's because he wasn't worth mentioning, but Boaz was. So just because you're rejected by certain men, sometimes that is a setup. So don't go back running into relationships of toxicity or places that you have been rejected. You need to look for a place where you are loved, because rejection is oftentimes a door to elevation.
Yeah. Now it's still working. Jazz, bro. Whew. You had no right to make that shot.
I've been doing this since Form 1.
Nah.
Since Form 1.
Nah, you had no right to take. Now I see why John's raised.
This for all the times that Saints used to net us. I'm doing this for you, campus.
I think, nah. You know, in my defense, I played a bit of basketball. It's been a couple of years. He was fresh out of high school. So, okay. Let's get to what? It's now a 3 or 4? What is it? 7. 7-1. Okay, let's get to 10. Get to 10. I think it's coming back. Initially it was 7-1, now it's 8-5.
I told you, James Harden still for the win.
That's 9, huh?
one shot. Your life is on the line. Who are you going to give the ball to? Let's find out.
Who you gonna ask? One shot. Who you gonna ask to play defense on? It just has to be the Wolf.
Oh no! Oh gosh, couldn't have done it without you guys. Love you.
So, score ended 10-8, but I generally think he had an unfair advantage. Please zoom in on his shoes. He was playing with the spirit of Kyrie.